Hello everyone, I am Nidhi Sharma and I welcome all of you to Economics Decoction where I share the essence of economics. So in this video we are going to learn about the Cardinal Utility Approach. So as you know, in the previous video we discussed about utility, the concept as a whole, and also we discussed the overview of the Cardinal Approach and the Ordinal Approach. Now in this video we are going to specifically focus on the Cardinal Utility Approach. So what is Cardinal Utility Approach? Who gave the concept of Cardinal Utility Approach? What does this Cardinal Utility Approach focus upon? All your queries is going to be solved in this video right here. So make sure that you watch this video till the end, and if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and also hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. And along with joining my YouTube channel, definitely join the Telegram channel of Economics Decoction as well, where I notify about my live classes which I conduct on Unacademy for UGC Net Economics. So make sure that you join the Telegram channel of Economics Decoction and also do follow my profile on Unacademy where I conduct live classes for UGC Net Economics. So you can definitely attend the live classes. The live classes are daily conducted in the evening. So they are free of cost. You have to just download the app Unacademy and you have to just attend the classes live, and that too free of cost. Quite interesting, right? At the same time, if you have to take any subscription on Unacademy, do not forget to use the code NSNET to get extra 10% discount on all your subscriptions. Yes, friends, you heard me right. If you use the code NSNET, you get 10% discount on your subscription charges at Unacademy. So please go ahead and get your subscription and do not forget to use the code NSNET. Now, proceeding further to the topic that we are going to discuss in this video, that is the Cardinal Approach. So first of all, the Cardinal Approach was given by Sir Alfred Marshall in his book Principles of Economics. Please remember the names of the books as well because they are important from your exam point of view. So the book Principles of Economics in 1890, it was given by Sir Alfred Marshall, and the concept of Cardinal Utility Approach was discussed by him in this particular book. So the Cardinal Approach basically argues that satisfaction can be measured in absolute numbers. That means whatever satisfaction that we derive by using a product or a service, we can allot a certain number to that satisfaction that we have derived. Let me explain this concept with the help of an example. Suppose I ate one chocolate. I could say that by eating this chocolate, I got 10 utils of satisfaction. While when I ate the second chocolate, I got 20 utils of satisfaction. Now, what is this util that I am talking about? The standard unit is utils. So, the satisfaction in the Cardinal Approach is measured in terms of utils. As we measure a liquid quantity in liters, the distance in kilometer, meter, the weight in kgs, similarly, in Cardinal Approach, we measure utility in terms of utils. So if I ate one chocolate, I would say I received 10 utils of satisfaction, and if I ate two chocolates, I would say I received 20 utils of satisfaction. So this is the overview of the Cardinal Approach. Now, proceeding further to the assumptions of the marginal utility analysis, which is based on the Cardinal Approach, which was given by Sir Marshall in the year 1890. So the first assumption of the Marginal Utility Analysis is that cardinal measurability of utility. That means utility is a measurable and a quantifiable entity. That means we can measure our utility, we can measure our satisfaction, and we can quantify them as well. The way I quantified my utility in the previous example, that I got 10 utils of satisfaction by consuming one chocolate. So I am quantifying it, that I got 10 units of satisfaction, 10 utils of satisfaction. So this is the meaning of measurability and quantifiable entity of utility. Now, money is the measuring rod of utility. The amount of money which a person is prepared to pay for a unit of a good rather than go without it using measures the utility derived. The third assumption is constancy of the marginal utility of money. So, what does this assumption mean? This assumption means that the marginal utility of money remains constant. Let me let me explain this concept with the help of an example. Suppose you have 5 notes of rupees 100 in your pocket. So you went to your college with those 5 notes of rupees 100, and a friend of yours came to you and he asked rupees 100 note from you, and he told that just give me 100 rupees because I I am in a mood to do a party. So you gave him rupees 100, and your friend just went away happily. Then your another friend came to you and he asked for rupees 100. He told that I have to get some petrol filled up in my bike, so can you please give me rupees 100? And you gave the rupees 100 to him happily. In the same manner, you just spent all your 100 rupees notes which you had in your pocket, because the marginal utility of money for you remained constant throughout. But if we relax this assumption, then it would be if you have 5 notes of rupees 100 in your pocket, the first note that you spend would not hurt you much. But when you spend the second note, that will hurt you a little. That means you will think twice that now I am left with only 4 notes of rupees 100. So I have to think twice. I have to spend money judiciously. Then when you'll be left with just 3 notes in your pocket, you will have to think more cautiously that yes, I am left with only 3 notes, or the 3 notes of rupees 100. I have very less amount of money with me, so I have to like restrict myself in spending the money. So that means what? In this case, your marginal utility for money goes on increasing. As the money that you have goes on decreasing, the number of notes that you have goes on decreasing, the marginal utility of money for you goes on increasing. When you will be left with just one note of rupees 100, you will be just reluctant to spend that note because that is the only note that you are left with. So the marginal utility of money in this case would be highest. So this means in real life situation, the marginal utility of money is not constant throughout. Rather, the marginal utility of money, either it increases or it decreases. It increases in case when you are left with less money. Right. So this is the concept of marginal utility of money. But here, in case of cardinal approach, it is assumed that the marginal utility of money remains constant throughout. That means the dedication with which you will spend the first note of rupees 100, with the same dedication you are going to spend the last note of rupees 100 that you are left with. This assumption is definitely a little unrealistic, but for the time being we have to assume that yes, the constancy of marginal utility of money, this assumption holds in order to understand this theory. Then we move on to the fourth assumption, which talks about the hypothesis of independent utility. The total utility derived from total collection of goods is the sum total of separate utilities of the goods. Okay, so suppose I have one packet of biscuit which has 10 biscuits in total. So one packet of biscuits has 10 individual biscuits in total. So when I eat the biscuits one by one, the total utility that I derived by eating that one packet of biscuit would be sum total of the utilities derived by consuming those individual 10 biscuits, right? So this is the concept of hypothesis of individual utility. That means by adding the utility derived from individual units, we get the total utility which we have derived by consumption of a particular goods or service. Then comes the law of diminishing marginal utility. What does this mean? The additional benefit which a person derives from a given increase in stock of a thing diminishes with every increase in the stock that he already has. In simple words, if we try to understand this, It is just like the utility that I derived by eating the first chocolate would be highest. But when I ate the second piece of chocolate, my marginal utility will diminish, it will reduce. When I ate the third chocolate, my marginal utility from that third unit of chocolate would diminish further, it will decrease a lot more. And as I go on increasing the units of chocolates that I am consuming, my marginal utility goes on decreasing. So this is the concept of law of diminishing marginal utility. So I hope that the five assumptions are clear to you, and now we move forward with the other assumptions. So the sixth assumption is that the marginal utility of every good is independent. That means the marginal utility derived from eating biscuits is independent of the marginal utility derived by eating chocolates. The every unit of the good so consumed is of same quality and size. So when I'm talking about the chocolates that I ate, it is assumed that all the chocolates are of same quality, same size. They are basically all same. There is a continuous consumption of good. I'm consuming the goods continuously without any specific time lag, without any major time lag, rather I would say. Suitable quantity of the good is being consumed. Suitable quantity is being consumed. No change in income, taste, fashion, and habits of the consumer. So the income, taste, fashion, habits of the consumers are assumed to be constant, and no change in price of the substitutes and complements. So the substitute goods and the complementary goods, the prices of the substitute and complementary goods are assumed to be constant. They are not changing. All right, so this was about the assumptions, and now we move on to the model. So first, let's focus on the schedule which is given on the screen. So I'm first going to teach you how to read this schedule, right? So when I'm consuming 1 unit, I'm getting a total utility of 20 utils. And the marginal utility derived by consuming 1 unit of a particular commodity is 20 utils. Fine? Now, when I consume the second unit of a particular commodity, my total utility increases to 35. As you can see here, from 20 it has increased to 35. But my marginal utility has diminished, or it has decreased from 20 to 15. Let's move further. When I consume the third unit, then my total utility further increased to 45. But my marginal utility that diminished further to 10. Alright, and this process will continue. As I consume the fourth unit, my total utility has increased to 50. But when I'm consuming the fifth unit of a particular commodity, as you can see, my total utility remains same. That means it remains 50. It has not changed. And here my marginal utility has become 0. Alright? And but what happens when I consume the sixth unit? When I consume the sixth unit, my total utility has decreased. From 50 it has become now 45. While my marginal utility has turned out to be negative. That means from 0 it has become minus 5. So now I am getting a negative marginal utility by further consumption. It might so happen that I have eaten so many chocolates that I am not feeling well. That's why my marginal utility has become negative by consumption of the chocolates. It might definitely happen. Okay, so now let's understand the figure which is given here, the diagram. So as you can see, first the total utility goes on increasing as it was seen in the schedule. Then it reaches a certain maximum point, which is here. I have just circled it, and there the marginal utility turns out to be 0. So the first point to be noted here is that when your total utility is highest, your marginal utility becomes 0 at that point, or at that unit of consumption. All right? And when the consumer consumes one more unit of a particular commodity after his total utility has reached to the highest level, then his total utility starts diminishing, it starts falling. And when the total utility starts falling, this is the second point to be noted, when the total utility starts to be falling, then your marginal utility becomes negative. Right, as you can see, the marginal utility curve has gone to the negative axis. Right, see, it is here -3. So this is all about the figure or the diagram that we understand. So when total utility rises at a decreasing rate, the marginal utility falls. That means here the total utility is rising at a decreasing rate and the marginal utility is falling. When the total utility reaches its maximum point, then the marginal utility is 0. Alright? And when the total utility starts falling at decreasing rate, the marginal utility continues to fall and it becomes negative. And this is the formula to calculate marginal utility, where we say total utility n minus total utility n minus 1. So as you can see in the schedule, 20 minus 35 gives us 15. Okay. So this is how we can calculate the marginal utility. Another formula to calculate marginal utility is basically change in total utility divided by change in quantity. Fine. Let's proceed further. So now let's understand what is Gossen's first law. It was given by Hermann Heinrich Gossen in the year 1850. So what does this law talk about? The additional utility which a person derives from the consumption of a commodity diminishes, that is, the total utility increase at a diminishing rate. In short, the marginal utility continues to diminish. Okay, so that's what we have understood in the figure and in the schedule. The second law of Gossen tells us that at equilibrium, an agent will allocate expenditures so that the ratio of marginal utility to price, that is the marginal cost of acquisition, is equal across all goods and services. This is known as law of equimarginal utility. Right? This is all about the law of equimarginal utility. Okay. So, do you know that there is something as Gossen's third law as well? If you know about Gossen's third law, please do let me know in the comment section below. And if you don't know about the Gossen's third law, no need to worry. Just wait for the shorts video which is going to come up very soon in the channel. So just stay tuned for that video where you'll get to know about the Gossen's third law. Now we are going to proceed further. So now let's understand cardinal approach in one good case and two good case. So here we can see the consumer's equilibrium in case of a single commodity. What happens to consumer's equilibrium when we have just one commodity? So here the condition, very important condition, is that marginal utility should be equal to marginal utility that we derive by consuming X divided by the price of the commodity X. So this is the condition, this is the equilibrium condition in case of one commodity. Right, the marginal utility of money should be equals to the marginal utility that we derive by consumption of X divided by price of the good X. And here as you can see in the figure, the price is equals to marginal utility of X. The point where price is equals to marginal utility of X, that gives us the point of consumer's equilibrium in case of one commodity. Now let's understand what happens in case of two goods case. Here the marginal utility of money is equal to marginal utility that we derive by consumption of good X divided by price of good X should be equal to the marginal utility that we derive by consumption of good Y, some other good, divided by price of good Y. Because we are talking about here two goods. Suppose X is the first good and Y is the second good. So the ratio of marginal utility to price of both the commodity should be equal and they should equate to the marginal utility of money. So the concept of equimarginal utility also somehow talks about this thing which we discussed here in the Gossen's second law. All right, and the figure is basically conjunction of equilibrium in one good case. As you can see, we have just intersected the two curves of marginal utility x and marginal utility y in order to derive the point of equilibrium. Because this point r here, the marginal utility of x divided by price of x is equals to marginal utility of y divided by price of y. All right, and this is as a whole equal to marginal utility of money. This ratio, we are equalizing the ratio of marginal utility to price of the two goods with the marginal utility of money. So this was about the cardinal approach in one good case and two good case. So what do we mean by marginal utility of money? Let's have a look. The marginal utility of money refers to the valuation of a unit of rupee for a consumer. It is a subjective concept and the consumer himself defines the marginal utility of money. What is the value of 1 rupee for me? That is my marginal utility of money. Now this can be subjective. As you know that a rich person, for him the marginal utility of money is quite low as compared to a person who is poorer. Generally for poor people, the marginal utility of money is quite high. So this is the concept of marginal utility of money, and this is obviously subjective. What is the marginal utility of me may not be same as that is for you. Your marginal utility of money may not be equal to my marginal utility of money. So marginal utility of money is assumed to be constant in the cardinal utility analysis, as we have already discussed about it in the assumptions section. So how can we derive the demand curve under the Marshallian utility analysis? As per the first order condition, the marginal utility of x should be equals to lambda p of x, or p of x should be equals to marginal utility of x divided by lambda. So what does this mean? So this is your condition. Mux is equals to lambda p of x, where lambda is the marginal utility of money. All right. So we have derived this formula by using the previous formula where we were talking about mux by p of x should be equals to lambda, where lambda is the marginal utility of money. Right. So if we just rearrange the values, we get it as mux is equals to lambda p of x. That is the condition which is given here. So let's suppose that the p of x rises, price of a particular good rises. So what happens? As by our assumption, the marginal utility of money is constant. That means the lambda value is constant. So this implies that the left hand side is greater than the right hand side. So to bring back the equilibrium, because the prices have increased, so we have to bring it back to the equilibrium, the RHS component, that means the right hand side component, should rise. So what does this mean? That this should rise. Mux divided by lambda should increase. But here is a constraint. We cannot increase the value of lambda because by our assumption the marginal utility of money, that is lambda, is constant. So the only option that we have is to increase the marginal utility of x. So this implies that marginal utility of x, that is mux, should rise. This further implies that mux can only rise when quantity consumed of x is reduced due to law of diminishing marginal utility. And as you know, by the law of diminishing marginal utility, when you go on consuming more and more of a particular commodity, when you increase the consumption of more units of a particular commodity, the marginal utility that you derive from that commodity goes on decreasing. All right, so that's why if we have to reduce the marginal utility of x, we have to consume more and more of the commodity. Hence, we can conclude that when price of x rises, the quantity of x falls or vice versa. And this gives us the demand curve, the downward sloping demand curve. And if you can relate it to the law of demand also states that when keeping all other things constant, when price of a commodity increases, the quantity demanded of a particular commodity decreases. So P of x is equals to MUX divided by lambda gives us the inverse demand function. Alright. So what are the limitations of the cardinal approach? The first limitation is that utility is not cardinally measurable. Obviously, does it make sense? If I eat one chocolate, I have got 10 utils of satisfaction, while if when I ate the second unit of the chocolate, I got 20 utils of satisfaction. How can I just quantify my utility? How can I quantify my satisfaction? That what is 10 utils? What is 20 utils? This just does not make sense in real life. So utility is not cardinally measurable. So this is the limitation of cardinal approach. And marginal utility of money is not constant. Obviously, marginal utility of money in real life is not constant. If you are left with less money, obviously your marginal utility of money for money will increase. The third limitation of cardinal approach is that utilities are not independent. Okay, utilities are not independent, they are interdependent. It fails to explain the Giffen's paradox, and Marshall ignored the income effect and cannot separate income effect and substitution effect. So this is a limitation of cardinal approach. By the way, if you do not know about what is income effect and substitution effect, I have already made a video specifically on this channel for income effect, substitution effect. So I would link the video here in the description box. Just make sure that you check that out as well. So by this we come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching so patiently. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you join the Telegram channel as well. And do like this video, share it with your friends, and also let me know in the comment section what more videos do you want. And also just one information, you can definitely come to Unacademy, and that means you can attend my classes online live for UGC Net Economics, where I teach in bilingual language. That means मैं हिंदी में भी classes लेती हूँ और English में भी classes conduct करवाती हूँ for UGC Net Economics. So definitely you are not going to face any kind of problem, and you can ensure a very good preparation for your UGC Net Economics examination. Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon in the next video. Till then, keep studying.